I wanted to make this video for the longest time, and I actually touched on it a little bit in my last video where I talk about how I learned to accept my body. But the recent events around Selena really made it the perfect time to talk about all of this. So if you didn't know, Selena Gomez has lupus. Lupus is a chronic disease that causes inflammation, and it's an autoimmune disease. That means that your immune system starts to attack itself. Selena's also had a kidney transplant in the past, and having this illness along with the kidney issues that she has means that she has to take medication. She probably will have to take this medication for the rest of her life. I wanted to talk about this because I also have a chronic illness. I have a video on the channel before talking about my chronic illness. It's an inflammatory illness that I have that affects my eye, but basically it's my immune system attacking itself and making me go blind if untreated. Fortunately, these medications exist, but they are not easy to deal with. These include immunosuppressants and corticosteroids such as prednisone. So this came around because there were some pictures of Selena at the beach, and the response was honestly not very pretty. There's a lot of body shaming, a lot of hate involved. I understand that not all people are familiar with these illnesses and the effects of medication. She could just be overweight because of excess weight. It doesn't matter. I don't think body shaming is ever the right response. I don't understand why people would do that, whether someone is famous or not. It's not acceptable. There are even some videos on TikTok of plastic surgeons or people who like talking about plastic surgery saying that she's had filler put into her face. I struggle believing that these are plastic surgeons because plastic surgeons are doctors and they would know about these things, but it is not filler, it's the effects of these medications. There's also some drama with the Kardashians and Hailey Bieber, but honestly, I'm not going to give that subject the light of day today. It's not useful. And I wish I had taken a screenshot of this before she went ahead and full-on deleted her entire TikTok account. But recently in each one of her videos, the search bar was what happened to Selena, what happened to Selena's face, and she went on TikTok live to explain that it was due to her medication and to respond to the body shaming comments.
To hold a lot of water weight, and that happens very normally. And then when I'm off of it, I tend to kind of lose weight. Yeah, we have days where maybe we feel like shit, but I would much rather be healthy and take care of myself, and my medications are important, and I believe they are what helps me. So, yeah, not a model, never will be.
So I wanted to talk about this because, as I mentioned in the beginning, I have experience with having a chronic illness where I had to take the same medications that Selena is on. So long story short, the second time my chronic illness flared, I was diagnosed and I was put on 60 milligrams of prednisone. Prednisone is a medication that is used to control inflammation, and 60 milligrams is a lot. Some people are put on a lot more in the beginning, but it's basically to control inflammation very quickly. When the doctor prescribed me this medication, she immediately warned me that I needed to pay attention to my diet because I might gain some weight. The side effects of this medication is that there's a lot of fluid retention that happens, and maybe an increase in appetite and a propensity for weight gain and obesity. When the doctor told me that, I tried to pay attention to my diet in the beginning. I went on MyFitnessPal and I put on how much weight I wanted to maintain. And looking back, the calorie number that I got from MyFitnessPal was so outrageously low that it doesn't surprise me now that at the time I was just starving all day. So I just scrapped it. I was just like, let's let nature do what it needs to do. And so then I started to develop a lot of fluid retention, especially around my face, my neck, weirdly around the sternum. My body just started changing in ways that I'd never seen before. It wasn't just normal weight gain, it was weight gain and swelling and fluid retention, which just makes you look like a puffish. My weight shot up about 22 pounds or 10 kilos during that time. One of my managers at work told me that it looked like I had Botox. For his information, it would be filler, not Botox, that would create a similar effect, but thanks, boss. I did have a video where it was super obvious the way I looked at the time. Every single picture that I took at the time was heavily face-tuned out of the camera. I would face-tune the hell out of the picture and then I would delete the original, so I don't actually have, I don't think, any original pictures of how I looked like. I feel a little uncomfortable sharing all of this, but I feel like it's important for people to understand. I've always had a quite defined jawline and jawbone. At that time, what happened was I had so much fluid retention here that my jaw felt like a steak. I couldn't feel the bone at all, and I soon forgot how my face used to look like before, which was super weird. I remember I had this pair of trousers which was always loose on me, and I actually was going to get it fixed to fit me well at the waist, and suddenly I put those on one day and they were tight. As in, my legs felt like sausages inside the trousers. My fingers also looked like sausages. All of me just looked like a sausage at that time. And the weirdest thing is that it happened so quickly that in my mind, I look like something, right? You have your own image of yourself in your mind, but I would have this image of how I look in my mind, and then I would catch a reflection in a window somewhere, and then be reminded that the person I was seeing is not the image that I have in my mind, and I would get like this immense feeling of sadness and just disappointment in how I looked like. There was one time where I was at home, my boyfriend took a picture of me, and when I saw the picture he had taken of me, I had the shock of my life because I just didn't look like anything I recognized. I didn't recognize myself. Like, what I was inside of my head was not what I saw in pictures and in reflections. It was just super weird. Something that's slightly, I don't want to say embarrassing to talk about, but sensitive, was intimacy issues that I started having. I've never felt ashamed of my body before, but during this time, I started to develop this self-consciousness in such a way that if my boyfriend started to like touch me or we started kissing, I would just recoil in like just being embarrassed of my body. And yeah, I'm sorry to say I cried many times. And I'm really grateful that my boyfriend was understanding and he was there for me, and it didn't make me feel inadequate or that my feelings weren't valid. So I'm very lucky for that, but that was a very difficult time. Also, I started growing a lot of hair on my face, at the base of my neck, and that made me incredibly self-conscious. Interestingly, for other people, if someone hadn't seen me for a long time, they would immediately be like, why do you look like that? What happened to your face? It happened a lot of times where I had to explain, I'm on a medication, it's temporary, blah, blah, blah. But for people who worked with me day to day, they didn't notice because it was gradual, although it's very quick, it's still gradual. So I would tell people like, I don't look like this. And they're like, what are you talking about? You always look like that. And then I would show them a picture from like 3 months before and they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe like the difference. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, At this time, it also didn't help that I was very unhappy with my work. It was only one of 2 times in my life where I know for a fact I was depressed. And I know that because I was so unfulfilled and feeling so devoid of purpose that I would be like walking home and tears streaming down my face. Just walking home from work, crying. I would be working and tears rolling down while I'm typing at the computer. So that didn't help. To be honest. So that means that at night, having a big bowl of mac and cheese certainly made me feel a little better, but it probably didn't help with the weight gain and everything. Fortunately, I was very lucky that that was temporary for me. The doctors wanted me to take that medication to see if my body would respond while lowering the medication, if I could just stay on a particular dose of that medication for a longer period of time, but my body didn't respond to that, so they had to move me to biologics, which is immunosuppressants that don't have the side effects that prednisone has. I was fortunate that I lived and live in a country where that medication is provided and free for me to take. I can't ever take that for granted. And now I basically have to stab myself every 2 weeks with an injection at home, which is not pleasant, and I actually have to take it today and I'm dreading it because I don't like doing it to myself. But I'm very fortunate that that's all I have to do, and that although my illness doesn't have a cure, like most chronic diseases, that's all I have to do to basically not go blind. The point of this video is just to ask people to be kind. Going through these processes with having an illness, being diagnosed, being put on medication, and especially on medication that causes side effects like this, is hard enough for an average Joe like me, just going about life, going to work, trying to live life normally, let alone someone in the spotlight. I really commend Selena for deleting her TikTok, taking whatever time she needs. When I watched a video where she's saying that she loves herself and she'd rather be healthy and that her medication is important to her to just keep healthy, like I was just on the brink of crying because I totally get what she's saying. You know, health is important. There's all these standards which are hard enough to cope with, these beauty standards, when you just look like your regular self, let alone when you have this medication completely altering the way you look and then people reacting badly to it or body shaming you. I can't put myself in her shoes, and it's hard enough for me to share pictures of how I used to look like here, but I think it's important for people to understand and for people to have a little bit more compassion to people going through this. If you have a chronic illness and you're going through this as well, please know that you're not alone. It's hard. I hate when I hear those fitness bros go on TikTok, calories in, calories out, doesn't matter the hormones, you're not in a calorie deficit. Well, yeah, but you know, sometimes that's not the most important. There's so many variables to being overweight sometimes that have nothing to do with just eating more than you should. And I think that people who have never gone through this don't understand, which I get it. But if you're going through this, please know that you're being strong. You're doing the right thing for your body. My love goes out to all of you. And please believe me when I say that you are super strong, that you're going through this. I hope you come out on the other side of this feeling stronger than before. And for today, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.